This is a dangerous system. Damaging winds, heavy rainfall, storm surge, rough seas, mudslides, and flash flooding are all possible risks. Djoungou is located 1,198 kilometers south-southwest of Diogo Garcia, and has moved eastward at 9 kilometers per hour, 5 knots, over the past 6 hours. Categories or estimated forecasts are provided by JTWC. Wind speeds and categorizations may differ from those provided by local meteorological agencies. Djoungou is forecast to continue tracking generally east-southeastward over the next 12 to 24 hours as it continues to strengthen and intensify. As the vortex expands, the steering level will get steadily higher, leading to a more southeastward track after 24 hours. The tide gradient between the near equatorial ridge to the north and a strong mid-latitude trough to the south and west will accelerate Djoungou up to about 35 kilometers per hour, 20 knots, in 3 days before slowing once more by the end of the forecast as it runs into a low to mid-level ridge lurking off the west coast of Australia. In terms of intensity, the environment is primed for rapid intensification, RI, with highly favorable environmental parameters lining up support. The only thing holding the system back at the moment is a bit of mid-level shear, but available guidance suggests this should weaken in the next 6 to 12 hours. Once the convection can begin to wrap up shear, the system will embark upon a period of RI, with the forecast calling for a peak of 215 km per hour, 115 knots, in 36 hours. But the windows for RI is brief as shear will sharply increase beginning of 2 days, increasing further to near 110 km/h, 60 knots, in 3 days bringing with it a surge in very dry mid-level air. The high wind shear and low moisture content will conspire to decapitate and smother Djoungou beginning as early as the next 2 days. As the system is expected to retain its warm core characteristics and remain over marginal 25 to 26 C waters during this time, it is forecast to undergo subtropical transition STT beginning in 3 days and potentially as early as the next 60 hours. Transition to a storm-strength subtropical low is anticipated in 4 days. Deterministic trap guidance is in very good agreement in the overall trap direction, as to be expected with such a well-structured steering pattern. Cross-track spread at 3 days is just 278 kilometers between the Djoungou and Knate ensemble marking the northern edge and the Nipgen marking the southern edge of the grouping. Through the end of the forecast, the models remain in good cross-track agreement, but begin to spread out along track, reaching up to 759 kilometers between the Djoungou and Knate ensemble in 4 days. The JTWC forecast is consistent with the consensus mean throughout the forecast period with high confidence. Intensity guidance is in good agreement that the system will intensify for the next 36 hours, the only question is by how much. The ship's GFS is the most bearish, peaking the system at just 155 km per hour, 85 knots, while the HEFSA is the most bullish, reaching 250 km per hour, 135 knots. The ChemTC, HEFSA, and HWRF all peak the system between 215 - 250 km per hour, 115 to 135 knots. Additionally, multiple RI aids are triggered with this run, providing additional confidence to the JTWC forecast of RI of 95 km per hour, 50 knots, in 36 hours. After the short run to the peak, the system will rapidly weaken through the remainder of the forecast as it undergoes STT. Maximum significant wave height is 7 meters, 23 feet.